Hey ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today is the start of another reading vlog, the Wicked Winterween edition. Wicked Winterween is the winter version of Summerween, a readathon that I've been doing pretty much since its conception for about a couple years now. It's always a grand old time. I love reading horror any time of year, and I love participating in a readathon that celebrates horror all year round. And let me just say, today was the perfect day to start Winterween because today is the very first day of this winter season that we got snow, just a little bit of snow, but we still got snow in Arkansas. So January 5th just ended up being just the perfect day to start this readathon because when it snows, when it is snowy, dreary weather, you want to stay inside, be bundled up and read anyway. So the fact that it was also the start of a new readathon was very, very advantageous because I was already in the mood to start reading. So as you may or may not be able to notice by my non-existent natural lighting, it's been a very cold and snowy and dreary day, which is just absolutely perfect for Wicked Winterween. So let's just go ahead and go through all of the books that I'm planning to read this week. Wicked Winterween runs from the 5th to the 11th. There's a number of prompts, both like challenge prompts on Instagram and then also just reading prompts for reading during the readathon. So we are going to set out and try and fulfill those. If you've ever watched a vlog on my channel before, you may know I'm the biggest mood reader. So I did try and find a variety of books that will fit multiple prompts. So let's just go ahead and go over the prompts together. So the first prompt is read a book in the dark. The next one's read a book with a witch on the cover. The next is read a book with a snowy or winter setting. Read a book with purple on the cover. And then the last prompt is read a book with a W in the title. Now, as I was going through all these prompts, I noticed that I don't have any physical books that really match any of those stipulations. So yeah, we are definitely utilizing the library for this readathon, as I always do. I mean, every single year I read over 100 books, so most, if not, I would say like 80% of my reads are coming from the library because otherwise reading would just be a highly unsustainable hobby for me to monetarily enjoy. But we are really going hardcore with using not just my library, but the Libby app. So in terms of my hopefuls, you'll see that not only are they from the library, but they also, a lot of them can work for multiple different prompts. I designed it that way, so that way I can have a very mood reader friendly TBR for this readathon. So the first one is In Defense of Witches, The Legacy of the Witch Hunts and Why Women Are Still on Trial by Mona Chollet. My edition that I'm reading has a foreword by Carmen Maria Machado, and this can work for read a book with W in the title, read a book with purple on the cover, read a book with a witch on the cover. Next up, we have Cursed Bunny. This is by Bora Chung, translated by Anton Her. This is a series of short stories. This one also can work for purple on the cover. This one I could read in the dark if I wanted to, and who knows what the setting of these short stories are, so it could potentially work for a snowy or winter setting as well. Next up, we have Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates. Darcy Coates is an author that I just tend to really enjoy, and Gallows Hill, that has a W in the title. I could also read it in the dark. We also have one with a title that I cannot pronounce for the life of me. I can read it in my head. I know how it's supposed to sound. My tongue always trips up on it, but let's try. The Abominable by Dan Simmons, and this one takes place, it has a snowy and winter setting. So those are all the books that I have planned. I did very briefly start the Dan Simmons book. It's a very hefty book. It's about 600 pages, so I'm only 4% of the way through that one, but that definitely is going to have a very wintry, snowy setting. It is taking place on Mount Everest, so yeah, I think I'm going to enjoy it. I've heard really good things about his work, so I figured this would be, I mean, just look at the cover. It's very snowy, very wintry, so I figured this would be a good chance to try his work out. I'll also probably pick up today In Defense of Witches, just because that is my nonfiction. I have the audiobook where I plan on primarily reading it via audiobook, and even though the audiobook is not that long. Just because it's nonfiction, I want to make sure, I don't think I'm going to read it like, you know, all in one sitting. So I want to read a little bit of it every single day. So 4% of the way into the Dan Simmons book, we're gonna start on our In Defense of Witches book. And even though it is very dark, it looks very dark outside, very dark and dreary day, we do still have plenty of time in the first day of this readathon to get to reading, enjoy some good books. So that is what I'm going to do. Just want to hop on, give a little introduction, talk about some of the books that I'm planning on reading for Wicked Winterween this week. We all know it's probably going to change around a little bit because I am nothing if I am not a mood reader. So welcome to the vlog. I hope you're ready to just have a fun wintry week of horror reads with me, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow with another reading update. Good morning vlog. Happy Monday. I have not been the best about updating this vlog. I did not update on Saturday or Sunday, so it is now Monday. I do have some reading updates, and I also have some changes to the TBR because who would have guessed, right? But we'll talk about that at the end of this update. First of all, In Defense of Witches by Mona Chollet. This is the audiobook that I'm reading. I'm 47% of the way through this one, and I am really enjoying it. It is very interesting. I'm on chapter 2 or section 2. It is a very interesting nonfiction about feminism. However, the witch content was in the introduction, and the past 2 chapters have been about like examining stereotypes of women and like how those are impacting not just like stereotypes of characters but stereotypes of the way that we see women. So, you know, we go through like the mother, the old crone, and things like that. But that's really all chapter 1 and chapter 2 so far have had to do with witches. Is the very first sentence mentioning like talking about women as being a mother, or women as being the old crone, or stereotypes that have had to deal with witchery in the past, if that makes sense. So this one I feel like is going to be very hard to rate because I don't necessarily think that it is going to be dissecting witchcraft in terms of feminism, which I thought it would. So again, it talked about it a lot in the introduction, and then it kind of went a different way in terms of the book itself. I'm still really enjoying it because I really enjoy feminist nonfiction and works exploring, especially this one is written by a French author. It was translated from French, so having a slightly different perspective, because I will be honest, that is a blind spot in my work. Most of the work that I have read about feminism have been from American authors, so it is very interesting to get that perspective. Not quite as witchy as I was expecting so far. I don't know if it'll turn around in other chapters of the book. So far about the way women who decide to be childless are seen in society and the pressure to have children, and just everything that childless by choice women have to deal with. So I'll definitely have to see where the nonfiction goes from here, but for right now I am enjoying it. Just really was not what I was expecting. I also have decided upon the book that I am going to be reading for the prompt, at least for right now, Read in the Dark, and that's Cursed Bunny by Bora Chung. And this one is a collection of short stories, so I'm planning on, as I'm getting ready for bed and doing my nighttime routine, I'll listen to a short story because they're about 20 minutes, at least the first one was about 20 minutes long, and I don't know how I feel about it. It was body horror. I guess maybe. I'm not sure. It was wild. I don't want to judge this short story collection off of the first short story because I don't know if it was to my taste, but I am going to keep on reading more from the short story collection. So just whenever I can think about it. So like tonight, I'll probably read another short story before I go to bed. I believe there are 13 short stories, so we'll have to see. Maybe I'll listen to just, you know, when there are no lights on or when it's dark outside. I'll listen to it on audiobook to both fulfill that prompt and finish the short story collection. So first short story was very wild. It was about a thing that comes out of the toilet that was built from our main character's excrement, basically. So interesting. We'll have to see what the rest of the collection looks like. And then for my TBR disruptor, Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig. I have this from the library. I need to return it very soon. To my knowledge, the only prompt that I could really force and twist and make it fit into the Winterween prompts is that Wendig starts with a W. The W is supposed to be in the title of the book and not the author, but I might stretch the rules and have it apply to that. Now, it does say in the synopsis it's autumn in the town of Harrow, but something besides the season is changing there. I do believe, kind of flipping through the title pages throughout the book, I think this goes throughout the whole year, so it does technically sometimes take place, at least for a portion, in the winter, so I might use it for that. Either way, I've got to read this week, so it's going on the TBR. I don't know, I did really want to get to this in autumn, I just didn't get a chance to, but I also would really love to read this one before I have to return it to my library and wait a while to get it again. So yeah, not sure what prompts, if any, this one will fulfill, but I've already read first 2 prologues and chapter 0. So I'm very interested in the way this book is formatted and I'm intrigued to read more. So this will probably be my physical book throughout the week, and it is very large. So hopefully we can squeeze it into some prompts there. But if not, you know, we'll just see how everything goes. If not, I feel like I should finish In Defense of Witches today. I wanted to give myself the whole week to read my nonfiction because sometimes I find I enjoy nonfiction more when I can just read a couple pages or listen to a couple minutes and like put it down and come back to it. This one I've been listening to in large chunks at a time, so I do anticipate I'll be finishing In Defense of Witches today. Today is ambitious, today or tomorrow, and then I'll move on to another audiobook I think that'll fulfill some more of those prompts because this is a TBR disruptor, but it's got to get done. Another TBR disruptor, the last book in the Atlas series, comes out tomorrow, and I do not want to get spoiled, so I'm hoping to hold off until the weekend for that one, but if not, we're gonna try and fit it on the Winterween TBR as well. So yeah, I did mention it wouldn't be a herbivorehaunts TBR without some mood reading and some TBR disruptors. So yeah, that's my update for this morning. I'm gonna go get to work, get to reading, and I will talk to y'all later with another reading update. I got the perfect reading setup with my heated blanket and my book, and Bruce thinks the heated blanket is his, so we're gonna share. I have one leg covered, and now he's gonna use my book as a chin rest. So we'll see how much reading we get done. But he always steals his heated blanket. I got it for Christmas, and he is just so convinced that it is his. It's not, but I'll share. How can you say no to this face? This is his heated blanket. I'm just borrowing it. friends, happy Tuesday. I have quite a substantial reading update for you all, but first, I'm sorry about the lighting. It's a little pink. I'm using my LED lights because there's not been a single day this week that hasn't been gloomy and dreary. The very first day of this readathon, it snowed. It was glorious. The flakes were big and fat and fluffy, and it was sticking on the ground and was nice, and then by the end of the day, it turned into mush and the snow turned into rain, and it's been like on and off raining all week. So there has not been a single day. I usually film with natural lighting. There's like a huge window in my office, but even though it's been open all week, there's just been absolutely no sun. So we'll have to see throughout this vlog if there's a single update that has good natural lighting, but today is not that day. It's very, very cold today. I feel like if it did actually rain, because it's not actually raining today yet, it rained most of the day yesterday. I feel like if it rained today, it would be actually snow, or at least freezing rain, because I think it's in the 30s. So weather update for those interested. I guess that's slightly the ambiance that one wants when you're doing a horror readathon. But I did finish last night my first book of the readathon, In Defense of Witches. I really enjoyed this one. However, I wouldn't suggest it for if you're looking for witchy nonfiction, or the history of witches, or even the history of witch trials, which is kind of a bummer because I kind of thought it would have more to do with that. I did really enjoy the content. It's a really well done book on feminism, and the last part I would say had to deal the most with witches and the stereotype of the witch, because it had to deal with modern medicine and patriarchy in regards to medicine. So that like dealt most with, I felt it went back in time a little bit. That part about the medicine system and the ways in which doctors do not listen to women, do not listen especially to women of color. That kind of went back more and talked about like the origins of midwifery, I'm not sure which one it is, but like community-based medicine and how that was kind of chased out by physicians. So that section kind of dealt with witchcraft and the history of medicine, and unfortunately the patriarchy that is still very present in medicine today. So I did enjoy this one. It wasn't the most witchy read. It wasn't the witchy feminist nonfiction that I was expecting. So my biggest complaint would be for this one is I'm not really sure what the focus was or why it leans so heavily on witch iconography, and then spends the majority of the book not talking about witches. And it did count for a number of prompts. We have a witch on the cover, it had a W in the title, and it also had purple on the cover. So now moving on from feminist nonfiction to horror fiction. First of all, Black River Orchard by Chuck Wendig. I think I'm really going to enjoy this one. This is a small town horror, and we are following multiple different people in the town, which is my favorite kind of small town horror. I like small town horror in general, but when it's like so community based and you follow, it doesn't even have to be for the whole time, but you follow like snippets and chapters of different villagers or townspeople as they're all collectively experiencing this horror event in different ways. I love that. So while admittedly I'm not very far in this one, it is going very well so far. I'm only on page 45, so I'm just gonna read the little blurb on the dust jacket because I don't want to give too much away and I want to read more of the book before I give you all a quick synopsis. So this is following a small town that is transformed when 7 strange trees begin bearing magical apples. I am really enjoying this so far, and I'm excited to keep reading more. I really do not think that this is going to really fit any of the prompts, so this is just kind of a bonus horror book for the week, because I think it primarily is taking place in autumn, even though it does go through multiple seasons. I don't think we spend that much time in winter, nor does it feel like a very wintry atmospheric book. This definitely feels like one more like end of August, beginning of September kind of read, but I am having a fun time with it so far. And then because I am reading that one primarily physically, I did pick up another audiobook, and this one does fit a prompt of the Winterween Reading readathon, so that's great. But that's going to be Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates, and this one I have read From Below by Darcy Coates before, really enjoyed it. Wanted to check out something else by this author. This has a W in the title. It also could take place in the winter. I'm not too sure. I feel like unless the book is so obvious about when it takes place, like for example the September house, it's really hard to pinpoint seasons sometimes about when books take place in terms of seasons. But I am about 10% of the way through this audiobook. I picked it up this morning as I was starting my day, getting ready for work and all of that. This is following our main character, Margot. The beginning of this book kicks off with her parents' funeral. She is kind of estranged from her parents. She used to live with them as a child until they sent her away to live with her grandmother. She has never had any contact with them or seen them again since. When she goes to her parents' funeral and then has to help with the estate, her parents not only left behind a house, but their vineyard. Her family has owned Gallows Hill Winery for generations. It's a prosperous business. In a lot of ways, Margot feels like this is her family's legacy, the last piece of her parents that she still has left. So she moves into the estate, tries to take care of this winery, figure out what she's going to do with the business, discovers that, you know, there might have been a reason why her parents sent her away all of a sudden from this house a while ago, and perhaps those secrets were not buried with her parents but are still in the house. So yeah, I'm 10% of the way into this one. It's seeming like a haunted house story, which I'm so excited about. I think Darcy Coates, I think most of her books up until her most recent ones were haunted house stories, with a lot of them being like the haunting of blank, the haunting of blank for a lot of her book titles. So I hope this is going to be a paranormal haunted house and not just like a human in a mask sort of Scooby-Doo situation all along. I really love paranormal haunted house horror, so I'm hoping this is it. So that is my current audiobook read. I've got my physical book, my audiobook, and I'm feeling really good about this readathon. I think we've got a couple more days. I think it ends on Thursday, the end of Thursday, so I do have a couple more days to at least finish one of these. I'd like to finish both. I have a really good feeling about both, and I would like to actually read some horror in this readathon, because the only thing that I have finished so far is nonfiction, which was really good. I enjoyed my time with it, but definitely not those Winterween horror vibes that I was anticipating. But that is all I have so far. Nothing much on the docket today except for getting back to work. It's my lunch break right now, so getting back to work, reading some, and then, you know, hopefully I might be able to finish Gallows Hill if I have enough time to read an audiobook today. It's really not that long of an audiobook. Black River Orchard, on the other hand, is very chunky, so that'll be going up till Thursday, I'm sure. But that's all I have for this reading update. I gotta go back to work, fun adult things, but I will update you all later with another reading update. friends, happy Wednesday, happy second to last day of Winterween. This is gonna be a shorter update because I'm going to try and update twice today because my TBR is all over the place. It usually is all over the place when it comes to, I just usually don't set a monthly TBR or anything like that, but I feel like every single day for this readathon, my TBR has changed. So we do have some changes, again, in a shock and surprise to no one, I'm sure. But first of all, Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates. I'm 52% of the way through this audiobook. Really enjoying it. Really enjoying it. It is exactly what I wanted so far, where it is a haunted house story at its core, and the first night there, our main character experiences some things, and it's paranormal. It's gotta be paranormal at this point. So that's been really fun. It's been a really fast-paced read. I feel like this one, it started with, as soon as she got to the house, things started happening. She's spent, I think this is like her third night, maybe, I think it's her third morning, and just things are happening all over the place. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a lot of fun, and I am excited to keep reading. So 52% of the way through the audiobook, I already mentioned that, so that's about 6 hours left, and that's definitely doable today, especially with the fact that I'm just enjoying it so much. So continuing to read that. For my audiobook, I did decide to DNF a couple of things. I don't think forever, but just for this readathon. First of all, the Dan Simmons book, I'm still sitting at 4% of the way. I keep picking that up, and it's not info dumpy, but there's so much information about like expedition culture and climbing mountains and the gear and all of that, and I'm not in the mood for it. I'm not in the mood for it right now. It feels like a chore to pick it up, so we're gonna DNF that. It's a huge book also, so it's definitely not one that I would have finished for this readathon, and I'm not in the mood for it right now. I'm in the mood for not even necessarily short books, but just books that have just a little bit more interesting of a pace, I guess. And I think this is one where I will be in the mood for it later and pick it up later when I'm in the mood for something that is just very slow paced and takes its time getting to the horror, but right now it's not that time. So DNFing that one. Also, Cursed Bunny is one where I don't know. We could get to the end of this readathon and I might have read more in it, but just at this point, it's not wowing me and I'm not enjoying it. It's very like gross body horror. The trigger warnings for this one are like very bizarre. It's just not clicking for me at the moment. I don't think that's fair to this book because short story collections, I have to be in a certain mood to enjoy them, and just listening to this one also, again, kind of felt like a chore, so we're gonna DNF that one for now as well. That one also, I think it's just a case of I'm not in the mood for short stories at the moment. So yeah, I guess I'm very like Goldilocks at the moment. I don't want huge, really glacially paced novels, and I don't want short stories either. I want like a good 300-ish page book with good pacing. I'm in the mood for horror that's like 300-ish pages or so. I feel like that's like the type of plot structure I'm craving at the moment. I don't know. Do you get me? Do you get what I'm saying? I feel like it's making more sense in my head than as I'm speaking it out loud. It doesn't make sense, but hopefully you get what I mean by that. And also, I am enjoying Black River Orchard still. Continuing on reading that as well. It's going good. I'm really enjoying it. I do have a little bit of a TBR disruptor. What else is new? But I did, one of my kind of unofficial goals for the year was to reboot my NetGalley account. I had a NetGalley account in like 2018, went on it like once and then didn't touch it again. So I'd like to try and start using it some more this year. And so earlier on this week, I was playing around requesting some titles, and one of them came in, and it's one of my most anticipated books for February actually, which is exciting. And I think I'm gonna pick it up and read it. And that's going to be The Holy Terrors by Simon R. Green, and it comes out February 6th. And what had me excited to check out this book, why I had it on my list of most anticipated for February, is that it is a horror about a ghost hunting show. I love ghost hunting shows, and I love horror books about ghost hunting shows. So the synopsis says, welcome to Spooky Time, the hit TV ghost hunting show where the horror is scripted, but the ratings are declining rapidly. What better way to up the stakes and boost the viewership than by locking a select group of Z-list celebrities up for the night in the most haunted hall in England and live streaming the terrifying results. And it looks like, you know, they have their medium, they have their paranormal experts, they also have these celebrities, and it looks like they were planning on having the scares be scripted, but then it seems like there's actual paranormal activity happening here. So I'm intrigued. It says that it's a locked room mystery with a paranormal twist. So that sounds very fun, and I'm gonna pick it up. It says on Storygraph it's 192 pages. So I will be reading that via NetGalley app, which is on my phone. So now I have a book in every single format. I've got an audiobook, I've got an ebook, and I also have a physical book. So yay, we're gonna do this. It's the second to last day of the readathon, and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling confident that we can read some of these, and you know what? Fingers crossed, I'm just gonna go out and say it. We're not changing the TBR anymore. These are the books that I'm reading. These are the books that are gonna carry me through the rest of Winterween. So yeah. Like I mentioned before, I am going to try and give an update later on today, just because The Holy Terrors is pretty short and I'm halfway through the Darcy Coates book. So I have a feeling I could finish something tonight, give an update tonight, and then of course tomorrow is the very last day of the readathon. So isn't being a mood reader fun? But yeah, that's all I have for this update. I will talk to y'all later with another reading update, hopefully after I finished one of these books. Hey friends, happy Thursday. Happy last day of the Winterween Readathon. As you can tell by my lighting or lack thereof, it is yet another dreary day. In terms of Winterween prompts, I do now have something checked off for every single prompt except for the read a book with a snowy or winter setting. We'll get to that later, but I did manage to finish 2 of the books that I was currently reading. The first one being Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates. I had a lot of fun with this one. I don't really have much to say about it other than it was a really fun haunted house story, kind of a cursed story as well, about some cursed land that doesn't actually like rely on any like kind of offensive Indian burial ground tropes that those cursed land stories tend to have, which is nice. And it also had like a fun setting because it was not just a house but a winery as well. So I had a lot of fun with it. I still think I liked From Below a little bit better just because I'm genuinely scared of the ocean, and I really liked like the found footage camera crew aspects in that one, but I really enjoyed Gallows Hill. It fulfilled the prompt, read a book with a W on the cover, and I'll definitely be checking out more by Darcy Coates soon. I find that she is just a very like reliable horror author for me. Maybe that's too soon to say because I've only read 2 of her books, but I just feel like I kind of know what I'm expecting. She's one of those authors where you read the synopsis, you feel like you know where the story is gonna go. It goes in that direction, but in like a very nice way. The best way I can describe this, and I promise it's a compliment, but it's like a B horror movie where you see it on Netflix or Hulu or something and, you know, put it on for like a movie night or something like that. It's not gonna be like one of those horror books or movies that sticks with you forever, but it's a lot of fun. So I had a lot of fun reading that. And then for the e-arc that I was so graciously given a copy of from NetGalley and the publisher, The Holy Terrors, this one I chose to read it in the dark, and I just took that kind of in a couple of different directions because it was on my phone, so I didn't need like an overhead light or anything like that. And it was a fairly short book. It was under 200 pages, so I only read it when it was dark outside. I think I had some B-roll footage in there of just me sitting on the couch, just with some ambiance lighting and all of that, cuddling up with my dogs, reading this book. Unfortunately, I didn't really love this one as much as I was expecting to love it. However, I think I had kind of the wrong expectations going into it. I would definitely say this is probably I would almost liken it to a cozy mystery, or if you want to call it horror, it's like very cozy horror. It definitely feels more like the pacing of a cozy mystery book than a traditional horror book, and I was expecting more horror, so that's on me, not this book. But I think I already talked about the book's premise. I hope so. I don't want to spend too much time on this one because I didn't really love it, but it was short enough that, you know, I got all of the way through it, and I definitely think this one is going to be, if you are like a cozy reader, if you love cozy mysteries, and if you love, you know, those mysteries with like all of like the fun and punny names having to do with like baked goods and things like that, I feel like if you like those type of mystery series, because I did see this is the start of a new series, if you like that, like the amateur investigator, murder of the week, cozy mystery setup, and yet you want something that's like seasonal, like maybe you want like a cozy mystery for spooky season, a cozy mystery with a little bit of a paranormal twist, I think this would be a really good fit for that. So I think maybe, I don't know if it's like the marketing or just the way this is being sold as like a horror book, I think it would benefit this book to kind of market it to cozy mystery people or people who like detective mysteries or even like Agatha Christie or something like that, as opposed to like horror readers, because it definitely came off more of a mystery and definitely more of like a light-hearted mystery than a horror novel. So I finished that for the prompt read a book in the dark, and I am still currently making my way through Black River Orchard. This one I am not very far in at all. So I definitely don't think, because the day is more than halfway over and this readathon ends at midnight, I don't think I'm going to finish this, nor do I want to like really rush through this, because I am enjoying what I'm reading so far. So we'll see. I am going to keep reading this because I am genuinely really enjoying the story. I like the way it's written. I like how we get to see different perspectives, and I'm very intrigued about like the core of this small town horror. I kind of made an unintentional pun there because this has to do with apples and like a sinister sort of orchard. So kudos to me for that, I suppose. But I don't think this doesn't really take place during the winter. I do think I'll try and look through my Libby app tonight and see if there are any short stories or shorter form fiction that do take place in a snowy setting or winter setting, because as of right now, that is the only prompt I have left to complete. And this book is not going to complete that prompt no matter how far I get into it, which is okay. And I'm definitely okay with if we reach midnight, the end of this readathon, and I haven't completed that prompt. I'm totally happy with all of the other books that I've read during this readathon, but I am going to, after work today, just briefly look through my Libby app and see if I can find any shorter form fiction to fulfill that prompt. So yeah, so far so good. It's just been a very lazy, cozy week, as you can see, but I think I've worn like maybe 2 sweatshirts this whole entire time. I've got like undershirts, different undershirts underneath them, but it's that point in the cold weather season where you just keep wearing like the same comfy things over and over again, because trying to look cute is just too much work. But at least this sweatshirt is seasonal. It's my little Ghost Files sweatshirt. It actually glows in the dark. It's very fun, but I thought it was a very appropriate sweatshirt for Winterween. So I am going to go get some work done and then see what I can wrestle up maybe to complete the last prompt in this readathon, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow with a little reading wrap up of everything that I managed to read in these last few hours of the readathon. Obi's gonna do the reading update too today because we have had a night. Haven't we, buddy? We have had a night and a half because last night we had tornado sirens, and he's off in his own little world again. But yeah, we had a tornado watch last night and just really severe heavy thunderstorms as well. So of course I meant to get to bed at like 11ish. That's normally when I try and wind things down. However, the sirens were going off. I have a lot of anxiety and I didn't go to bed until the storm stopped and the thunder stopped and the heavy wind stopped. So I went to bed at around 3:34 last night. So that's fun. We're starting this readathon. We started it with the first snow of the year, ending it with the first tornado watch of the year. That's concerning that it was cold enough and then warm enough in the span of the week for all of that to happen. So that's lovely. But I did just end up reading more of Black River Orchard, because while it didn't fit for any prompts, I'm absolutely loving this one. I'm loving it. This is kind of giving me Needful Things by Stephen King vibes, where there's something at the center of this town where there's multiple people in this town that are immune in some way or another or haven't engaged in the evil that is spreading, and we're following all of them, and I'm waiting for them to meet up in like a horror-ish Avengers sort of situation. Yeah, I'm really loving this. I just absolutely love big, chunky 600-page horror. So really enjoying this one. It didn't fit any of the prompts, but I had a really fun time reading it, and I am going to continue reading it this weekend. I'm just really enjoying my time with it, and I'm excited to check out more by this author later. So overall, this was a really successful reading vlog. I managed to do most of the prompts, and I had a really fun time doing so. So that is going to be it for this Wicked Winterween vlog. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, let me know what did you read for Winterween if you participated. Subscribe to my channel for all of the bookish and cozy gaming content. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!